Okay, and I'm sure it might be, it could get a bit challenging having to deal with two disasters at once. That's lava flow and looks like a hurricane as well. Do you anticipate any changes in strategy or approaches to deal with multiple issues at once?
Well, obviously we will be working on the hazards based on life safety first, so we always prioritize the missions based on where we might have possibility of loss of life, injury, or otherwise. So we will be adjusting our resources and deploying them as needed. But I think the key, too, is that we realize we have multiple incidents going on, and we're not going to, lose focus and forget about one over the other, because they both will present with challenges regarding safety and property. So one may just pick up the lead based on as its impact may be more urgent or more timely.
Daryl, sorry, go ahead.
ahead.
Oh, Daryl, this is Kenny Choi from KITV. I was just wondering if the approaching storm is going to affect some of the construction work that you guys were talking about on Chain of Craters Road. At what point do you, make a call on that front?
Yeah, as far as that, we haven't had a chance to have that conversation with our Public Works Department. But as a guide, anytime the weather conditions increase to the point at which it makes it unsafe, not only for construction, but even for the emergency responders, then we basically suspend operations until it's safe to return. So we'll be basing a lot of that on what's the forecast and as well as what they're seeing in the field, because many times we can see conditions change on the ground. It may not be evident in either satellite or other imagery that the Weather Service has. So we'll be basing some of that on what the personnel are seeing in the field, and if conditions are unsafe to continue work, then we'll suspend it.
Daryl, Tom again, the Tribune Herald. Is it possible that a severe storm or hurricane that hits us would that impact monitoring of the lava flow in any way, overflights and so forth?
Yes, that is possible. If the wind conditions and rain conditions don't allow for a helicopter overflight, then we may be postponing those operations until it's safe to do so. But we will be monitoring the eruption activity, and up till the point where we have to suspend that, we'll be in close coordination with the Hawaii Volcanoes Observatory. And if there's any need to conduct a ground assessment in lieu of an air assessment, we'll discuss that with the scientists on how we go about conducting that safely. I think if we're looking at this system developing and maybe increasing in its intensity and becoming a hurricane, it wouldn't be limited to just the residents of Kau and Puna. This would be, again, the potential for an island-wide impact. So it's always prudent for everyone to be preparing for the possibility of us having a storm system that could affect, every community on the island. Right now, it's still very early to say how intense that system will be, and as far as if the impact may shift because of change in the track. But I think lessons learned from this is we should all do our part to be better prepared and anticipate what could happen with the storm. How that changes things for those communities that may be affected by the eruption, again, we're going to be monitoring the state of the eruption and the flow activity so they can make decisions in a timely manner and keep them informed. So I think it's those communities that were already preparing for the impact of the eruption have been doing a great job, and just to continue to stay informed and be prepared. But at this point, no evacuation is needed, and we'll definitely keep them informed if that should change.
Okay. And will Civil Defense be looking at any evacuation shelters, though, for the storm as well, getting those prepared, talking to Red Cross and all that?
Yes, that's part of these video conferences that we have when we have them. And again, I apologize, the media is unable to participate in these conferences, but what would be clearly evident if you were was the level of participation we have from all of the agencies, as you mentioned, Tom. Red Cross is a participant along with DOE, Parks and Rec, and many of the other agencies that have a role in sheltering. So we've already had those preliminary conversations and discussions so they can start their planning, which means they may contact with their own staff as to who's available and what can be done to stand up shelters in what locations. And again, so those action items have already been put into motion, waiting for follow-up briefings so that we can either refine our action plans or maybe suspend things if conditions improve.
Mm. And have you reached out at all to the states or anyone else in terms of additional help that may be needed, since the county could be dealing with two disasters at once?
Right. They're the ones who actually host the video conference, so the state is actively engaged in all of these conversations as well. So we've already discussed the process by which we may be requesting certain requests for or processing requests for assistance. Whether that's once confirmation that an impact is likely. It's as an example the deployment of the National Guard. So we are having conversations both online with State Civil Defense during these video conferences as well as offline in anticipation and preparation, not just for the storm, but even for the eruption activity.